Chapter 1. The Marriage. The first time I saw the island, it was dawn, and the moon was still in the sky.
"There's Falizar, Mr. Wiltshire,"
said the captain.
"Your store is there."
I asked the captain for his telescope and looked at the brown roofs of the houses, the green woods, and the white beach.
"Can you see your house, the white one with the big veranda?"
asked the captain.
"When old Adams saw it the first time, he liked it. Poor old Adams. When I came back to this island, he was dead."
What happened to him? I asked.
"He died suddenly one night,"
said the captain. How did he die? I asked.
"Some kind of illness, perhaps something on this island,"
said the captain.
"I don't know. The last man at the store was Vickers. He left Falizar because he was afraid of the traders, Case and Black Jack. People say bad things about them. And then there's old Captain Randall, who came here long ago."
Look, there's a boat coming now, I said to the captain.
"Yes,"
said the captain.
"That's Case and his friend Black Jack."
The boat came closer to our ship, and the two men got on. I was happy to meet them. Case was a small man with blue eyes. He spoke well and probably came from a good family. He seemed helpful and friendly. We sat in the captain's cabin and had a drink. Case talked a lot, and I knew he was a good trader, but I did not know he was a dangerous man. We finally got to Falizar at noon. As we walked on the island, Case said,
"Well, Wiltshire, you need a wife."
"Oh, yes," I said. "I almost forgot." There was a crowd of native girls around us.
"She's pretty,"
said Case, pointing to a young girl. "Yes. Who is she?" I asked.
"She's Uma,"
said Case, and he called her and spoke to her in her native language. I did not understand what he was saying. She had a pretty face and body and a lovely smile, but she only smiled at me once. I liked her.
"I think you can have her,"
said Case.
"I'll talk to her mother, and then bring her to Captain Randall's house for the marriage."
I did not like the idea of marriage, and I told Case that.
"Oh, don't worry,"
he said, smiling.
"Black Jack is the priest."
We walked to Captain Randall's house. It was an old, dirty house with a small, broken veranda. There was a store in front with scales, a box of tins, a big box of bread, and many bottles and guns. I'll do very well on this island, I thought, because my store has better things. The old captain was in the back room of the house, sitting on the floor, and he was drunk. There were flies all over him. He was a man of 70 who once commanded a big ship in the British Navy. Now he looked terrible. He tried to get up, but he could not move.
"Captain's a bit drunk this morning,"
said Case to me. He turned to Captain Randall and said,
"There's going to be a marriage, Captain."
"What?"
asked the old man.
"Mr. Wiltshire is going to marry Uma,"
said Case.
"Uma?"
he said, surprised.
"But why does he want Uma?"
"Be quiet, Captain,"
said Case. Case went to arrange the marriage and left me alone with the old captain. I listened to the old man talk and watched him drink. That afternoon, an old native woman with tattoos on her face came into the room. Her eyes were big and dark, and she was singing a strange song. "Who's this?" I asked.
"It's Farval, Uma's mother,"
said Randall. "Aren't you afraid of her?"
"Me? Afraid?"
cried Randall.
"I don't want her to come here, but Uma is getting married today."
Farval suddenly stopped singing and left the house. It was already late in the evening when Case came back with Uma. She was wearing necklaces made of flowers, and she had a red flower in her black hair. She was very serious and quiet. I did not like what I was doing because it was wrong. Black Jack married us and gave Uma a marriage certificate. This is what the certificate said. Uma, daughter of Farval of Falezat, is illegally married to Mr. John Wiltshire for one night. Mr. Wiltshire is free to send her home the next morning. Jack Blackmore, priest. After the marriage, Case said,
"Well, Wiltshire, it's time for you and Uma to go home."
He wanted us to leave quickly. Uma and I walked to our new home. When we went in, she smiled gently and said,
"Me, your wife."
Her dark eyes were lively and beautiful, and I was happy she was there. I got up very early the next morning and went out on the veranda. Many young men and children were sitting outside my house. What are they doing here? I thought. What do they want? More people came and sat outside my house. They said nothing and stared. I went inside and said, "Uma, what do these natives want?"
"You know?"
she said. By evening, the natives were tired of staring at my house and went away. The next day, I cleaned the store and put everything in order. I think I'll make a lot of money here, I thought. I dreamt of making money and going back to England to open a pub one day. However, something strange happened. Not one person came to my store. At about 3 in the afternoon, a white man came to see me. He was dressed like a priest, but his clothes were dirty. "Good morning, sir," I said. He answered in the native language. Don't you speak English?" I asked.
French,
he said. He tried speaking French to me, and then spoke in the native language. I listened carefully, but I did not understand anything. I heard the names Adams, Case, and Randall, and the word poison. I also heard a native word that he repeated many times. When he left, I went home and asked Uma, "What does fusioki mean?"
"Make dead."
said Uma. "Then Case poisoned Adams," I cried.
"Every man, he know that."
said Uma.
"Gave him white sand, bad sand. He got the bottle still. If he give you bottle, don't take it."
I heard about this story on the other islands, so I decided to go to Randall's house to learn the truth. Chapter 2. The Taboo. When I got to Captain Randall's house, Case was standing on the veranda and Black Jack was in the store with customers. "There are a lot of customers today," I said to Case.
There hadn't been any customers in 3 weeks.
said Case. 3 weeks? I said.
Yes, 3 weeks.
said Case angrily.
Don't you believe me?
I smiled and said, "Do you know the French priest?"
Oh, Father Galouchet.
said Case.
Yes, I know him.
"I don't think he likes you or Captain Randall," I said.
No, he doesn't,
said Case.
because we don't go to church. Randall and Galouchet got angry and argued a lot about religion in the past, and when Adams died, they had a big fight. Now Galouchet says Randall poisoned Adams. It's a lot of nonsense,
said Case, laughing. On Sunday, Uma asked me,
"You go church today?"
"No, of course not," I said. But then something strange happened. I went to take a walk in the village, and I heard some people singing in a church. I stopped outside the door and looked inside. The priest was a tall, native man who was singing with the people. When he saw me, he immediately stopped and pointed at me. He stared at me and was terrified. I was frightened and ran home. I said nothing to Uma, but I was worried. I did not understand what was happening, and I did not like it. On Monday, no one came to my store, and I was angry. "Uma," I said, "it seems that coming to my store is taboo."
I think yes,
she said quietly. That evening, I went to talk to Case. "Case," I said, "I think I'm taboo here,"
That's impossible,
he said.
There are no taboos on this island. Have you talked to Randall?
"I don't like Randall," I said. Case laughed, took a lantern, and went to the village. He came back after a quarter of an hour and sat on the veranda steps. "Well, am I taboo?" I asked impatiently.
Yes, Wiltshire. Something like that,
he said.
But don't worry, because I'll help you. Come here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we'll talk to the chiefs of Falezat. They're afraid of me.
"Do you know why I'm taboo?" I asked.
No, but we'll find out tomorrow morning,
said Case. The next day we went to see the chiefs in their big house. A crowd of men, women and children stood outside the big house. There were 5 chiefs, and they were dressed in white. One of them spoke to Case for a long time. "What did he say?" I asked.
He wants to know your problem,
said Case. "My problem?" I said. "Tell him I'm a white man and I'm British. I came here to work, to sell things from my country, things these people don't have. But no one has come to my store yet, and I don't know why." Case translated my words, or he pretended to. The chiefs answered politely. When they stopped talking, I asked Case, "What's happening?"
I'll tell you outside,
he said. "Well," I said impatiently.
I don't understand this, Wiltshire,
said Case in a low voice.
But they don't like you. They won't go near you. They're afraid of you.
"Afraid of me?" I cried. "But what are they afraid of?"
They didn't tell me,
said Case.
You know, I must be careful with these people. I work on this island too. I don't want any trouble with the natives.
"I know you don't want any trouble," I said. "You've never come to my house. Why?"
You're right. I forgot to come,
said Case.
I'm sorry, but I can't come now.
"Are you afraid too?" I asked.
Yes, I am,
said Case. "But why? Why am I taboo for nothing?"
You're not taboo,
he said.
But the natives don't want to go near you. You know, Wiltshire, the natives are free to go where they want. If they don't want to buy at your store, you can't force them.
"Oh, now I understand," I cried angrily. "None of these people will come to my store, but they'll go to yours. They'll trade their copra with you, and you'll have all of it, and I'll have none. I don't speak the native language, so I can't talk to these people, and they're afraid of me. This is a terrible situation, and you don't care."
I can't do anything to help you,
said Case coldly.
Goodbye,
he said, and walked away. Chapter 3. The Missionary. When I got home, I was furious. "Uma," I said nervously, "you probably know what's happening. Why am I taboo? And if I'm not taboo, Why are the natives afraid of me? She looked at me with her dark eyes and said,
You no?
No, I don't.
Case no tell you?
No, I shouted.
I ashamed,
She said.
I think you know. Case, he tell me you know. He tell me you no mind. Tell me you love me too much. Taboo belong me. Now I go away, so taboo go away too. Then you get too much copra. You like more better, I think. Goodbye.
Wait, I cried. Case said nothing to me about your taboo. But I love you, Uma. We're happy together. Please don't go away. Uma started crying, and I put my arms around her. I realized I could not live without her. You're more important than copra, I said softly, kissing her. We sat down, and Uma told me her story. She and her mother came from another island about a year ago. The people in Falizar did not like them because they were strangers. Case helped them because he liked Uma. Then she met a young chief called Ione. He wanted to marry her, and she was happy. But then he left her and went away. She was very sad because she and her mother were alone, and no one on the island talked to them or looked at them. They were taboo. It was terrible for them. Then I came and married her. I got up and started walking around the house. I felt terrible. Should I tell Uma the truth about the marriage? I thought. Suddenly, there was the sound of a boat, and Uma ran to the window.
Misi!
She said excitedly. It was a missionary who often came to Falizar. I went out on the veranda and saw the missionary's boat. In the distance, I saw Case running to the boat. Case doesn't want me to talk to the missionary, I thought, as I went out of the house and walked towards the river. Get away from that boat, Case! I cried angrily.
I do what I want on this island,
said Case. I was very angry and hit him hard several times. He fell to the ground and had blood on his face. He knew that he was weaker than me, so he got up slowly and went home. I walked to the boat and saw a man dressed in white. Are you the missionary? I asked.
Yes, I am. And you're probably the new trader.
He answered. Yes, I'm Wiltshire, I said. And I don't particularly like missionaries. However, I need to talk to you about two important things.
We can talk for an hour, and then I have to go to another village,
he said. Good, I said. Come with me to my house. As we walked, he asked,
Why did you hit that man?
Soon you'll understand why, I said. When we got home, I showed the missionary the marriage certificate and told him about Black Jack. He was surprised and angry. I want to marry Uma in the right way, Mr. Tarleton, I said seriously.
Very well,
he said.
We need 2 witnesses. Call 2 men from my boat. They're outside.
The 2 witnesses came in, and the missionary married us. And now I want to talk to you about another thing, I said. The missionary listened carefully to my story as he tried to eat the salty soup Uma made. She was a terrible cook, but a lovely wife.
Well,
he said at last,
you have a dangerous enemy. Case is an evil man. He is very clever, and the chiefs of the village believe him. He told everyone about Uma's taboo, and he poisoned Adams. Before Adams, there was a trader called Underhill. He became very ill, and couldn't move his body. He could only move one eye. Case told everyone he was a devil, and the natives believed him. Poor Underhill was buried alive. Case is the master of this island because people are afraid of him. Now he wants to get rid of you because he wants all of the copra.
"What can I do?" I said.
Only two people can help you, the French priest and the old chief Fayazo. I'm sorry, but I must go now. Goodbye, and good luck to you and your wife,
said Mr. Tarleton, leaving the house. Chapter 4. The Devil. A month passed and no one came to my store. Farval had 20 coconut trees, but no one worked for her because she was taboo. So she, Uma and I worked together and made copra. When I was not working with them, I went hunting in the woods, which were full of birds and other animals. One day, I was sitting near the woods and started talking to a native who spoke a little English. "Is there a road that goes east?" I asked.
There was a road once,
he answered. "Does anyone go there?" I asked.
No,
He said nervously.
bad place. Too many devils.
"Devils?"
Yes, there are many devils there.
he said.
Men who go there never come back.
This native knows a lot about devils, I thought. Maybe he knows about our taboo. Do you think Uma and I are devils?" I asked.
No,
He said calmly.
the devil lives in the woods.
Suddenly, I saw Case walking on the beach across the small bay. He had a rifle in his hand, and he was going east. "Look," I said to the native, "Case is going to the woods in the east. He's not afraid,"
Case is a Tiapolo.
he said, and immediately disappeared in the woods. When I got home, I asked Uma, "What does Tiapolo mean?"
Devil.
she said. I told Uma about the native I met in the woods. "How can Case be a Tiapolo?" I asked. She sat down and explained that Case belonged to the devil. He was like the devil's son. He always went to the woods in the east where the devils lived, and they did not hurt him. He spoke with the dead, and he even had a secret place in the woods. I was very surprised to hear this and said, "Very well, I want to go and see Case's place,"
No,
cried Uma.
you no go. You never come back.
She was suddenly worried and told me about 6 young men who went to the woods in the east and met 6 beautiful ladies. They talked and laughed with them, but that evening the young men became very ill and died. The people were sure that those beautiful ladies were devils. "Do you believe that story?" I asked.
Yes.
She said. "Well, don't worry about me, because I won't talk to any beautiful ladies." The next morning I took my rifle and knife and started going to the east. The woods were dark, and the trees were tall and close together. It was windy, and there were strange noises. At first I was not scared, but I started thinking about Uma's story. Perhaps I am a coward, but I was soon scared. As I walked through the woods, I heard other strange sounds coming from the trees. I put my knife between my teeth and climbed up a tree. At the top, I saw a box with banjo strings across the top. When the wind blew, the banjo strings made a scary sound. "You scared me once, Case," I said nervously as I climbed down the tree. "But now I know your tricks." I continued walking through the woods and saw a long wall in front of me. Along the top of the wall there were big, ugly masks that shone in the dark. Some had hair and others had clothes that blew in the wind. They looked like scarecrows. Then I discovered a small cave with other scary masks. It looked like a strange place where people prayed to devils. Case is very clever, I thought. He brings the natives here at night and scares them with these masks, and they think they're devils. That's why they're afraid of him. Suddenly, I had an idea, and I left the woods. When I got home, I saw the young chief, Mayor, sitting on my veranda. He was a rich man with thousands of coconut trees.
"Hello, Wilshire,"
He said, smiling.
"I want to trade my copra with you."
I was surprised to hear this because Mayor was going against Case, who wanted all the copra on the island. Mayor was probably angry at Case because of a girl they both liked. "I'm happy to trade with you, Mayor," I said. He was my first customer. I could finally trade my coloured cloth, tools, tea, and other things for his copra. "I'm sorry you had to wait a long time for me, but I've been to Case's place in the woods," I told him.
"You went to Casey's place?"
He asked, surprised. "Yes," I said, laughing. "And his place is a toy shop with a lot of scary masks. In England, children play with those things." I also told him about the banjo strings in the trees. He was amazed, but he seemed to believe me. That evening, I decided to put an end to Case and his devils. I took my rifle, knife, lantern, and dynamite and started walking to Case's place. When I got there, I destroyed all of the masks. Then I put dynamite in the cave and under the trees with the banjo strings. I began hearing some strange noises, and I immediately thought about Uma's story. I took my lantern and looked around. Suddenly, I saw a beautiful lady. "A devil!" I shouted.
No shout.
Said a woman's voice. "Uma, is that you?" I cried.
Yes, I come quick. Case here soon.
"Case? How do you know?"
Black Jack tell Farvow.
I did not know Uma was so brave. Her love for me made her do anything to help me, and this made me love her more. "I must blow this place up now. Follow me." I lit the fuse, and Uma and I ran away and hid. Then there was a violent explosion and fire everywhere. Case's place was finally destroyed. The fire from the burning masks gave Case enough light to see me. He shot at me and hit my leg. The pain was terrible. Uma was hiding behind a tree, but when she heard me cry out, she ran to me. Case saw her and shot at her too. She fell to the ground. Case shot at my wife. Was she dead? As soon as he came near me, I pulled his foot and made him fall. We fought like two angry animals, and then I killed him with my knife. And that was the end of Tiapolo. Now, the only thing I could think about was Uma. I slowly moved to her side and saw that she was still alive, but very scared. Her shoulder was hurt, but it was not serious. Mr. Tarleton came for Case's funeral, and he was buried in the place where he kept his masks. Now that Case was dead, the copra business was mine. I never went back to England, and Uma and I had children and lived happily together.